Let's go, girl.
Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe.
Football, WTF for short, not to be confused with WFT. We are the women, a pair of producers for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. I am sitting over here in the bachelorette pad, our home, because it is myself, the executive producer, Ashley Pickle, and sitting over there, our associate producer, my roommate, Miss Mallory Hartley.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
I'm going to miss doing this from the bachelorette pad. Mainly this show.
Our second episode ever from the Bachelorette pad.
Yeah, and it's nice because we can
really nice.
literally just walk downstairs from our room and podcast and then be done.
Yeah, because spoiler alert, this is pre-recorded because we are both going out of town for various different reasons.
Okay. Hi, Ava. Well, there's our other roommate, our third roommate, if you will.
You can see her
Ava. Actually, to be fair, this is Ava's house, and we just live in it.
Yes.
So the whole clan of women are here, including Ava.
Correct.
Ava Pickle, I guess you can call her.
We're not going to hyphenate her name?
Maybe.
I deserve to be in her last name.
Oh, I thought you were talking
point.
about like my future name. I love the fact that
it should be. I think it should be Ava Pickle Hartley.
Okay, I'm here for that.
Okay, good.
We can do that. That's a lot better. And there she is again. This is going to be a fun one. Let's get down, Ava. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, we are back and excited for this show. A couple of fun things going down here. The first one is we're going to be diving into the numbers. We're back. We're talking football. Let's take a look at win streaks. We always say don't bet against a streak. It's something that we talk about, especially when the playoffs start rolling around or seeding games to get into the playoffs. Well, there were some streaks that RIP are no longer with us after the 2023 season, and there are some streaks that will continue into the 2024 season. So we will take a look at those. And then in the back half of the show, our very own intern, Alfredo. Big fans of Alfredo around here.
Big fan of Alfredo. He has been, just to go off on a little tangent here, he's been fantastic for us. And we've been out of office, and he's still been keeping up to date with what we're doing, and he's been absolutely fantastic through this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alfredo went out to a very cool program, an event that the THSCA puts on. The Texas High School Coaches Association puts on a R.O.C.K program. It is a mentorship program. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we've got a really cool video talking to some of our friends at the THSCA that we would love for you to listen to and get a little bit more insight on what the R.O.C.K program has to do with. So, getting straight into it, let's go and take a look at win streaks. We love to talk about win streaks when teams are able to go insane and pull off game after game. I mean, that is a gruesome 17-week season that...
It's tough.
I mean, from all the way from August, and I mean, you're practicing in the heat of August all the way down to December trying to make it to AT&T Stadium. That's impressive. If you can go undefeated in a season, it's impressive.
Well, and it's also, too, if you're taking a look at some of these teams that we're about to show you, is they don't schedule easy in the pre-district portion of the schedule. They schedule really tough. So that makes it even more impressive that they can go, however they've gone without losing.
Absolutely. And for one season is impressive enough.
Yeah, multiple.
If you're able to go 16-0 in a season, if you're able to continue that, I mean, you've got something really special cooking.
Right.
So before we get into the streaks that ended and the streaks that are continuing, wanted to give you just a little bit of a barometer almost about what we're looking at when we're talking about all-time win streaks. So taking a look at the longest all-time win streaks, and as you'll see, none of these are happening right now, but these are the top, how many did I put on here? 7. So we're going to start off with the longest not active anymore, but the longest win streak in Texas high school football history was the Salina Bobcats from 1998 to 2002. 68 games won. and it's crazy
crazy to think about.
They're 11 games over the next highest one in the history of Texas high school football, which was 57 by the Allen Eagles in 2012 to 2015. A name like Kyler Murray might come to mind during that stretch. So think back to when Kyler Murray was doing Kyler Murray things, and then multiply that by add another 2 years onto that to get 68 games, a whole extra season.
Right. No, that's super impressive. And just thinking back to how good he was, and then they were able to do that without him too. It's that much more impressive.
Absolutely insane. Following shortly thereafter with 3 games less than the Allen Eagles, it's the Austin Westlake Chaparrals, 2019 to 2022. That was under the Todd Dodge era, the Cade Klubnik era.
Right. I was going to say, what was the game that ended that? Do you remember off the top of your head? Because that was in 2022, so that happened. Because I remember it happening in our Slack, and I remember us talking about it because we were actively looking at that game.
It was the Westlake North Shore game.
It was the one,
in the state semifinal.
Oh, that's right.
Yep,
yes, correct. Yes.
And then that one was just an insane game because it ended on what at the moment looked like a controversial call as to whether or not the North Shore, or as to whether or not they got it on 4th down.
Right.
And then they didn't end up getting it. Wait, no, that's not right, because North Shore, that's when North Shore lost. Hang on. That's totally wrong, because Westlake ended up winning that. Let me look, because for whatever reason, I can't remember. We're going to go back here. I should have looked this up beforehand, but I did not. So fall of 2022, they went
Curiosity got
14-1. They did lose to North Shore. So I was right, but that was not the 4th down call that I was talking about.
I'm pretty sure because Westlake was obviously not in the state championship last year. So I was think you're right.
Yes.
But
yes. Yeah, because that makes sense, because Westlake, remember, was always teetering between going D2, D1, D1. And so that's when yep. Okay.
You're right.
Smart. The one that I was talking about was when Southlake and Westlake ended up playing in the championship.
Yeah. That's yes.
So, okay. Moving on now. Bremond, the Tigers, 49 wins from 2014 to 2017. We have a little trifecta of teams that have reached that 49 but couldn't get past the milestone of 50. South Lake Carroll in 2004 to 2007 also had 49. Another miraculous run by Todd Dodge. Take a look at that. Two of the all-time leading win streaks in Texas high school football history within the span of 8 games of each other. Not even that. 5 games of each other were Todd Dodge. Is that not impressive. Insane?
Yeah, and I'm sure he's going to do the same thing at Lovejoy, too.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say another 3-peat, and then he's just going to ride off into the sunset.
Exactly.
Also coming in at 49 games in the all-time leading win streaks, the Abilene Eagles from 1954 to 1957. You want to talk about coming out and being one of the first dominant teams in the history of Texas high school football. The Abilene Eagles really kind of put that trajectory on the right path. And then coming in there in the 7th place spot, 48 by Lake Travis in 2007 to 2010. That was in their stretch of trying to go for those 5 consecutive state championships under Hank Carter, and what an insane job that he's done. Crazy, too, to see Westlake and Lake Travis both in this league.
Right,
you know, I mean, you want to talk about dominance in the Austin area.
Right.
They're single-handedly waving the hat down there in the 5-1-2. So there's a look at the all-time leading streaks, just to put into perspective how insane those numbers are. Again, Salina being up top with 68 consecutive games. Now let's take a look at the all-time win streak. So these are all on the list of all-time win streaks that ended in 2023. So you'll see a massive decline here. We're not talking 68 games. That's why I wanted to put it in perspective of just how insane those streaks are, because these streaks alone have been incredibly impressive just over the past few years. So the leading one that ended this year, the highest win streak, was Franklin at 39. So in 2023, the loss came against Lorena on October 20th of 2023. that was the first loss that ended the streak. You will remember Franklin did have a second loss this year against Malakoff, a 14-7 loss in the state championship. So they suffered 2 losses, but this is the one that ended the streak in district play.
Right.
The previous loss to that was a 35-34 loss against Canadian, December 17th of 2020. That was the insane state championship that really encapsulated when 2020 happened, and you were there at those state championships.
Yeah, that was my first state championship.
Yeah. And it was split into 2 because of COVID. But the 1A through 4A, which happened in actual December, 5A and 6A happening in January, those 1A through 4A games were the best consecutive back-to-back state championship. I mean, even in 3A, you had that barn burner against Canadian, and then you also had the Jim Ned Hallettsville game that went into overtime.
Yeah, no, I remember that too so clearly, because that was like I said, my first state championship game, and I was like, dude, if this is going to be like this every single year, like I'm going to keep coming back as much as I can. But I just do specifically remember that game. That was a lot of fun because it was just back and forth all game and just ended like that. It was so good.
Exactly. So they went 14-2 this year. Prior to that, 2022 16-0, 2021 16-0, and then in 2020 they had a 12-3 record, which is insane. Because put this into perspective for just a second, if I can get off on my Franklin saga. That loss obviously came in the state championship game. So they made it to state, lost by 1 point to Canadian. Prior to that, they lost their first 2 games of the season. They lost their first game to Lorena, and they lost their second game to Cameron Yo, which seemed like a stunner because Cameron Yo, as historic of a program as that had been struggling at that point. So they came back. They lost their first 2 games of the season. We completely rode them off, and then they came back and made a run to the state championship, lost that game, and then proceeded to win 39 games after that under Mark Fannin. Who, by the way, has never had a season that he hasn't played in the state championship as a head coach.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane when you put it into perspective.
Crazy.
Like
all right, after that, the next 2 shouldn't be much of a surprise here.
No.
The Carthage Bulldogs coming in at the next rip to the win streaks, 29 games. So they lost this year in the playoffs to Gilmer, 47-44, an absolutely insane game. It was so much fun to watch. Really high scoring. That came on December 1st of 2023. Prior to that, where the streak happened, was the last loss was that insane playoff game in the regional semifinals against China Spring, 27-17 on November 26th of 2021.
Right.
Which, if you want to allow me to get off on my China Spring saga for a second, the playoff stretch that they had that year was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely incredible. They went, and after beating Carthage, after taking down the man, which someone hadn't done in so long in 4A.
It's a tough thing to do.
They then beat Western Stark. They then beat Cuero. And then they beat Gilmer to win their first state championship under Brian Bell. That was an unbelievable. Greg Tepper was on the call for that one. I remember watching that China Spring.
Was he really?
Carthage
I
game.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I want to say it was him and Coach Grant Freeman. I really think that might have been who it was.
Okay.
I think
we need to ask that. That's funny. I didn't realize that they had called a game together. How funny!
Yeah, it was a blast. It was really, really cool, and that was just the first time that anyone had ever had the chops to beat Carthage in the playoffs. You know, like it was awesome. Love Carthage too, but it was just. Everybody roots to see the man go down and a streak end.
Right.
And then following that, the active streak that lost this year was Duncanville's. 22 games they had won. They lost, of course, to DeSoto in their district game, 49-35 this year, which we have very much said made DeSoto pound for pound the best Texas high school football team in the state, which they proved that in their whomping like 70-3 win or something
over Summer Creek. Yeah,
it was brutal. That being said, their previous loss was to North Shore, 17-10, in the state championship in 2021 on December 18th. So those were on the list of longest active winning streaks that ended rip in 2023. Okay, so there's the ones that ended. Here's the ones heading into 2024 that you got to keep an eye on because these are still ripe and going. So we're going to start off here with the Gunner Tigers, currently on a 31-game win streak. Their last loss was to Franklin in the state championship, 49-35, December 16th of 2021. So they're still riding a high there. To no surprise, allow me to introduce the Aledo Bearcats, who are on just their 17,000th streak. Yeah. Their last loss coming 44-14 versus Geyer, September 2nd of 2022. And that's funny because you'll remember at the start of 2022, they lost their first 2 games of the season.
Who was their first one against?
I think it was Parrish. I think they lost to Parrish, Episcopal.
Yes.
And then they turned around and lost to Geyer, and that was... Which you want to talk about streaks. The Aledo streak before that was absolutely absurd. And Aledo is still on their district win streak. So they're in the first place for the district win streak, but just active wins, they are still holding on strong there with 30.
And then Aledo got their revenge on Geyer this year.
They absolutely did it. In a thrilling game.
Thrilling overtime
on Dave
game.
Campbell's Texas Live.
That was fantastic.
So Aledo currently sitting at 30. I need to go back and look up what their district win streak is because that one is still incredible, which we thought in that 2022 season that Burleson Centennial might be able to get over the hump.
I called that game.
Lost 2 games. Exactly.
I called that game.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Color analyst Mallory Hartley checking into the chat. Moving on now, 27 wins for the Albany Lions. Coach Denny Faith still has his guys cooking. Their last loss, a 31-28 loss versus Comanche, September 16th of 2022, which again, you want to talk about going back-to-back losses and then completely shifting and switching their Albany in that year. They lost to Comanche in week 4. No, they lost to Holly in week 4 rather, and then they lost to Comanche in week 5, and we were like, okay, and I remember specifically when we were making our playoff predictions and our state championship predictions, I was like, the Albany loss to Holly just got me. I don't think that Albany can do it. Denny Faith said,
sure enough, they
dumb.
did.
And then after that, I learned my lesson.
Revenge.
And so last year, I said, Denny Faith has been at this school for 36 years. He's not coming back to coach the Albany Lions if he doesn't think they can go back to back.
Yeah, you did
Now
say that.
they did. And as far as I'm concerned, Denny Faith is still the head coach next year.
So they're probably going to be back again this year.
I'm not marking off
we'll
a 3-peat.
see him at AT&T Stadium probably.
And then finally, this one should not be a surprise. 22 wins for the DeSoto Eagles. Their last loss, a 41-17 loss against Duncanville on October 28th of 2022. So it's funny, we talked about that exact game of being the one, well, it was the one this year in 2023 that broke Duncanville's streak. This one was the one that broke DeSoto's streak, or honestly, was the one that now started DeSoto's streak.
Right. Which is it's just funny to look at that.
Yeah, those two. I mean, if
they're
not beating each other, then
exactly.
That's why it's so hard for the two of them to really continue these streaks because they inevitably
always
have
play
to
each
face
other.
each other.
Yeah, always.
And guess what? We've got another 2 years of it because DeSoto opted up and they're going to be in the same district of doom again.
Exactly.
So there you go. Taking a look at the all-time win streak. So obviously Salina still sitting pretty up top there with 68. Some of them ended this year. They're looking to get back, and other ones keeping on into the 2024 season. We will be excited to hear about them, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of coaches yelling at us for doing this segment because they don't like to talk about streaks.
No, it would make me nervous talking about streaks, honestly.
Because what's the best
because
way to
then
ruin
everyone
a streak?
roots against you. Exactly.
To talk about it. So you're welcome, Gunner, to Gunner and Jake Fazell. We hope to hear from you soon and angry at that. All right, so there you go. We are Women Talking Football here every Thursday at 2 o'clock, even if we're pre-recorded because we are out of town. But if not, we're here at 2 for as much as you know. All right, before we talk a little bit about our friends at the THSCA and their R.O.C.K program they have going on, let's hear from our great friends at VCR Now. Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Am I supposed to be talking now?
Yes, now you can talk.
Appreciate our friends at VCR Now. All right, we teased it a little bit in the first segment, but our friends at the THSCA, the Texas High School Coaches Association, they're real big on coaches helping coaches. And I feel like if you ask any coach around the state, they all say the same thing. All of this is stealing. It's all learning and taking it in, digesting it, and seeing how you can implement it into your program. And a big portion of that comes through mentorship. And so the THSCA started a mentorship program called R.O.C.K. And I wrote this down on my notes because I wanted to make sure I got the acronym right. So rare, outstanding, compelled, and knowledgeable. Maybe that's supposed to be completed. I should have wrote it down better. My handwriting is not great.
Let me see. I think I can decode it for you.
No, it's okay. And so the THSCA is so big on coaches helping other coaches. So basically, the program is a very select group of coaches every single year, and you get to put your year R.O.C.K 2024 mentee or mentor. And so older, more experienced coaches, they get to be mentors, they get to help out these younger coaches, and it's not just for football coaches, it's for volleyball, for basketball.
All coaches, yeah.
For, any coach, male or female. So they hosted their R.O.C.K mentorship program up here in Arlington.
At AT&T Stadium,
yeah,
I believe,
a couple weeks ago, and so we sent our intern Alfredo out, and he did a great job kind of capturing what it's all about. So without further ado, here is the THSCA R.O.C.K program.
Country. And you're fixing to go through the most robust coaches mentoring program in the country.
So this event is very unique. When you look at this program in comparison to any program, honestly, that we do here in Texas, or any program that's out there around the entire country. It's unique because just coaches are involved. So coaches and athletic-minded people are involved in the planning, and they're the attendees. The other piece of why it's really, really unique is because we make sure we're very intentional in the diversity of the people who are here in attendance today. We make sure we represent every coach, every sport, every gender, ethnicity. So we're very intentional about being able to pour into all the different coaches that we have in Texas, because we know that all of our kids, our athletes that they're coaching, come from all different backgrounds. So we're really, really proud of that. Being able to pair up our younger coaches with a mentor who has walked in their shoes because they look like them. They've had probably the same athletic journey as far as coaching and where they've been.
And me and Carlisa, our common connection was that our fathers are both pastors. Oh, wow. And then mine and Ariana's was that we both started our first year coaching at the age of 22.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Good. And you know, future kids always have. Perfect.
Some of the feedback that we've gotten from coaches who have been part of this program in the past has been really, really positive. They come out of here energized. They come out of here knowing that they're not alone. They come out of here knowing that they have support, that they have people that are in their corner. They know that there's been somebody who's been in their shoes and somebody who can guide them through the rest of their career. So lots and lots of great positive feedback about this event because this is exactly what young coaches need. They need to be able to get here and get the tools. They need to be connected with other people in the state. And they're all here for the same thing. They're just here to get better and find the tools to be able to stay within the profession. The one thing I hope that everybody gets from being here is just that true connection to other coaches. We really hope that they get their why. They get enough background. They get enough to be able to launch them into their career, to keep them in the career. That's our ultimate goal is to give them the tools, to give them the network, to give them just the reasons why they are important to this profession, and ultimately make them better for our kids.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas football today every day live. Mentorship program, really a cool event, just like everything the THSCA does. So we appreciate them having us out and letting us get a little bit of insight as to what that all entails. Looks like some fun activities.
Yeah, I liked the jumping portion. I wasn't sure exactly what they were doing, but I saw Joseph Sam jumping up and down, and they were all kind of laughing. But looks like a good time over there at AT&T Stadium.
I don't know what they're doing, but I'm sure that it's very useful to some degree. It always is.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, there you go. Women Talking Football here every Thursday. We hope that you will join us. If you're not able to join us live Thursdays at 2, please download the podcast on Spotify.
Or Apple Music.
Mainly Spotify.
Mainly Apple Music.
And that'll do it for us. So we appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next Thursday.